Hello, happy stampers. This is Kate with Kate's Paper Creations and Kate's Creations, where I make cards using Stampin' Up! Stuff. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Washington State, and this is my February video, early February video, and I'm going to be making some cards with the Grassy Grove stamp set. I just recently ordered this. I was interested in these designs because I love nature, and I live on the Olympic Peninsula, and we're within an hour or two drive between ocean and mountains, and we have a lot of deer, and so it just really spoke to me. So we're going to make some cards, several today, because I wanted to show you some different things you could do with it. So let's get started. I'm going to start with some really, really easy cards. I'm going to start with this one. Now, I didn't put sentiments on any of these. There's room for sentiments, and you can do them with tags or labels or different punches, whatever you want to do. You can put your own sentiment on them. I left the sentiment off on purpose. Sometimes it's nice to just have some blank cards around. So let me explain here. This is just a standard A2 greeting card. It's 4.5 by 5 1/4. And I just said that totally wrong. Oh, sorry about that. It is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, a standard A2 greeting card. Oh, sometimes I don't know why I do that. And the paper here is from this packet of 6x6 called New Horizon. And I store my papers in these sleeves that you get from Stampin' Storage that comes in really handy. And then I keep a list of all the colors in the various packets, and I just tuck it in there like that. So I know what kind of colors, because you go, oh, what kind of green is that? How do I make that work? This gives you some ideas. But anyway, this paper is just marvelous because it creates instant scenes and that you can stamp on. And there's just bunches of them, and front and back, all different, of course. Some are more scene related, and some are more just solid colors or color variations like that. So it's definitely a must get kind of paper. It comes in handy for so many things, and you're going to see today just how wonderful it is to make some very simple and easy cards. So here's this card made with this piece of DSP and a couple of the stamps from the set. The trees, and get these in the picture here, and the grassy part. Okay, so basically I just first of all cut it to the width, 5 1/2. So let's do that. We'll bring this in, and we'll cut this to 5 1/2. I did cut it the full size of the card. I wanted it to cover the entire front of the card. So there's 5 1/2 wide. And then it only needs to be the 4 1/4. And so I decided where I wanted this, which looks like a mountain range, to fall. And so I'm going to come down just above. You can see there's a little bit of a water line or something right here. I'm going to go just above that and make it that end, and then I'm going to cut off the other side too. I'm just getting it set here. So that'll create where I'm going to put my pieces there, and then I need this to be 4 1/4, so then I'm going to go to 4 1/4 here and cut the top off like that. Now where you cut it is up to you for the design that you want. This one's going to come out a little bit different because I didn't cut it exactly the same, but that's okay. Now this is a piece of basic white thick cardstock. It is scored at 4 1/4, and if you've ever wondered which way do I fold that thing, when you score, it leaves an indented side and a raised side. I always turn indented side up and fold that like that. That gives you a nice clean edge for your card. And then this is going to end up just on here, just like this. And isn't it lovely? It even looks like they're reflecting in the water below, but it doesn't have to be water, but it could be. But it could be. Okay, I'm going to be using Evening Evergreen ink. To open your ink pads, remember you just get the back side, squeeze it with your thumb, they pop right up. Makes life easy. And I'm going to stamp this. Now I didn't leave as much space for this, so I'm probably going to end up stamping off just a little bit so I don't go up too high into my quote-unquote mountains. So I'm going to bring this down and stamp off. And you can overlap this, it'll look just fine. You don't have to worry about the design. Matter of fact, you could just go back and do it again if you wanted to. That didn't come out real dark, but I kind of like it. So, you know, every card comes out just a little bit different. Then I'm going to do the trees, and I'm going to do them with the same color. And I've been having some trouble with these getting lines where I don't want them, so I'll clean that off a little bit. And I just put one set of trees right over here on this right hand edge. Just like that. I like it. Now your trees, sometimes they look like they're just floating, and I don't want them to look like they're floating. So I take my Evening Evergreen marker with the writing tip, the small tip, and you just make a little tiny thing like this at the bottom of them, and now they look like they're sitting on the ground. That's all I did to this piece. And then brought out my Stampin' Seal. I love this tape. It holds very well. It also sticks very well, so you want to be really careful that when you lay it down, it's where you want it. Okay, bring this in, and because I don't have any edges, I can just line up the corner exact, lay down that corner and stick it, lay down this corner, and press it into place. Then on the inside, I did a little bit of the design on the inside as well. So we'll bring this back in and put some design on the inside. These will make wonderful cards. There's that, and some trees. Up the side. There we go. There's card number 1. Okay, let's put this away and get out, whoops, card number 2. Again, card number 2 is going to be using more of the New Horizons Designer Series paper. There's one in there that looks like this. It has green and then this blue. This is obviously where I cut my trees from, but these trees did not come from the New Horizons set. I didn't like those trees, so cut out. I didn't care for them. So I went and I moved over to Mountain Air stamp set that is in the main catalog, because it has some beautiful dies for cutting out the trees, these beautiful dies here. And you have 2 of them, they're exactly the same. And so you can cut out more than one at a time. And I just cut them from this green here. And this is what I have. Now, if you were smart, like I'm not sometimes, you would put double-sided adhesive behind these before you cut them out, so that they would be sticky when you peel them up and they would go down nicely. But I'm not always that smart. So I'm going to be using my handy dandy, wherever it is, Zig 2-way glue pin to do that with today. Now this is the paper I used for this design, and as you can see, I cut away mainly the flower part. And I just need it to be, again, 4 1/4. So we'll bring in my cutter here, and we will cut this to 4 1/4, measuring from the top to the bottom, because I want to keep all of that picture in the top. And again, this is totally up to you. You can cut away whatever part of it you don't want. So that'll be saved for later. And then it needs to be, so that's 4 1/4, and then this is the 5 1/2 direction, because it is a landscape card, landscape orientation. And see how easy this is? This is just so fun. So now we're just going to attach that to a basic white card base as well. Again, fold it and burnish it. And get out the stamp and seal. Oh, and see the backside, how beautiful it is? You just have to appreciate these gorgeous colors. Look at that. You could easily create another scene with that one. Okay, but we're not going to use that one. We're going to stick with what I got. I spent so much time making samples, testing designs, seeing which way I wanted to put things. If you saw my scrap bin or my trash bin, you'd know how much time I put into getting a design that speaks to me. Okay, there's that. Then I'm going to bring out my silicone craft sheet because it lets me put glue on things without getting glue everywhere else. I'm going to turn those trees over. You can have 2 trees or 3 trees. As you can see, this one I put 2 of them on. And so we'll just do 2 for now. And it's pretty delicate. But you don't have to hit every single branch or whatever. So once you get started, I do make sure that the trunk has some, and glue is going to get on your silicone sheet. That's what it's there for. Don't worry about hitting every little spot. Just kind of randomly do your thing up to the top of the tree. Get a little bit here and there, and that is good enough. And then we will put it on the card, just like that. And we'll stick it down. And then we'll do the other one the same way. And then you can take a wet wipe or a damp cloth or whatever, and you can clean off your silicone sheet because this glue will not stay there permanently. It comes off. That's what's so nice about silicone sheets. There's a lot of little pieces in these trees. I don't know that I got all of them out, but it looks okay. And I'm going to slightly overlap them, but not dramatically so. Another nice thing about silicone sheets is if you need some help getting it to lay down, you can do this and press it so it doesn't stick to you, and make sure that it's staying in place. There we go. That is really lovely. I'm going to get me a baby wipe. I keep those by my workstation here. And we'll just clean that glue off. And we'll set that aside. Okay, there is card number 2. Again, you could go on the inside and add one of these. And since I have a third one, let's do that. Let's put this tree on the inside. That sounds like a really good idea to me. Oops, come on, cooperate. Since I've got it here, I might as well put it to use. And we'll put it on the inside of the card just to add some interest to the inside of the card. Okay. Clean that off. And we'll put this on here and press that down really good so it dries good. Stick, I say, stick. There we go. And so there's card number 2. Now, I did forget to tell you, we could put deer on any of these. It has some deer that you can punch out with a punch. It also has deer you can stamp and then punch out. These are just cut out from soft suede. And then to get some texture, I just didn't like the flat color of the deer. And I don't know if you can see it very well. I'll get it as close as I can here. I don't know if that really helps. You can see I've kind of speckled them. I pulled out an old tool. It's been around for a long time, a stipple brush. This one is called Color Duster. And, you know, they've been around forever, and we have these tools, and they come and they go, and we get all excited about the new ones, but this was out there. And, of course, I've kept it. So I just took the soft suede and did this all over a piece of soft suede cardstock, just like that. And then I cut my deer out. So I have several deer, and like I say, you could put them on any of these. You can put one or more and get a little bit different look. You could even do it with this one. You could use the large deer and put it here or here. You could put the small deer over here. So see all the different things you can do. And so I didn't put the deer on yet. I haven't decided which ones I will and which ones I won't, but I wanted you to kind of see that you can put a variety of things on here. And with these deer, something else I did, we'll set those cards aside. Something else I did with these deer is I brought in my black marker and I gave them each an eye. I just had a thing about my deer having an eye. So they each got an eye right here on this one and right here on the little one. And then I colored just the tips of their hooves black. And then I brought in my Flirty Flamingo marker. No, this is Blushing Bride marker. And I put just a tiny bit of pink inside the ear and on the tip of the nose. And it just seemed to make them more alive to me. Now that's totally a personal preference, but that's just another little thing that I did with my little deer. Okay, card number 3. Again, I am using the designer series paper. That's this one now, this time. And this time I brought in the mountains from the Mountain Air stamp set. And I will be stamping them with Misty Moonlight. Now this card is not a standard A2 card. I made this card to fit the die that we'll be using from the Grassy Grove stamp sets. Pardon me, getting my hands in here. This is the die for cutting out this design that you can layer in here. Again, you might want to put double-sided adhesive on the back of this so that you can easily place it and not have to worry about glue. Just letting you know. So what I did is I started with a piece of Whisper White. I'm not going to reproduce this one. I'm just going to tell you how it was done. First of all, I cut this to fit the front of the card. And like I said, this card is 5 by 4 1/4. Not every card has to be an A2. So this is 5 by 4 1/4, which means you'd cut it at 5 by 8 1/2 and score it at the 4 1/4. So it'll make that size of a card. Okay, so that's how you would do that. And then this piece, depending on where you wanted things to be, is going to be cut the same size, 5 by 4 1/4. Now I stamped the mountains with Misty Moonlight, and you can see I just followed the grassy line. I also came in with the Evening Evergreen and this stamp right here, and put a little bit of, it's not very visible, but a little bit along the bottom, and it does show up when you're looking at it a little bit closer. Now before I cut this piece out, I prepared the white piece that I was going to be using, and I just took a piece bigger than the card, and I used sponges, and I sponged 3 colors. I started with the lightest color, Soft Succulent, and I covered the whole thing. Then I took the next color, which was Old Olive, and I just randomly added some of that as a color layer. And then I took the Garden Green and I added some more, and I loved the sponged effect on the cardstock, just to give some variety of color, and you can make it, of course, as distinct or subtle as you choose. Then I cut it out, and I just placed this, assuming that this piece is already all colored. I just placed this right at the edge like this, on this edge and this, and I cut it out. And then I came in with my paper cutter and cut this edge so that it matched at 5 inches. Okay, so that's how I did that. And if you use your double-sided adhesive, then you can just stick it on there with that. And again, you can bring in the deer and put a deer in there, or not. So there's that card. And then for my final card here, I I wanted to use the stamps. I'd been making all these cards with cutouts and different things and not really used the stamps very much. And so this one, I am going to use the stamps a little bit more than I usually do. And I'll show you some tricks I did for this one. So this is the base card. This is Evening Evergreen. It is a standard A2 card, so it's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. So we will get that and burnish it. And then this layer is basic white, and it is 4 by 5 1/4, and it's going to go on the front here. And I am using just a soft succulent, excuse me, for the grassy across the bottom. And I'm going to put that on first, right after I clean it from using the other color. There we go. Okay, so I'm using soft succulent across the bottom. And we'll just like that. And there's our grassy meadow part. And then I'm going to stamp the trees with the Evening Evergreen. So we'll get our trees back in here and open this back up. Be sure and ink these very carefully. Don't rock your stamp or you'll get ink around these edges and it'll leave ink where you don't want it. Okay, so I'm going to put this set of trees. Oh, before I do that, back up. I'm going to stamp the deer with soft suede. And I'm going to stamp the deer first. And I'm going to put one deer right about, can you see me? I get it in the thing. Is the lighting halfway decent? Okay. I need some better lighting, but someday I'll get that. Okay. There's my first deer. Now, what I did is I stamped a deer and I cut it out, fussy cut it out. I did not use the die because it leaves too much of an edge. I wanted it to be the exact size or a little tiny bit smaller when you're masking. And so I made my own mask. Now, one thing cool about this is once you've got one made, save it, stick it in your stamp case. You don't have to do it again. It'll last a very long time. Put double the removable adhesive on the back. I use Tombow removable adhesive so it stays in place. And now I can stamp deer number 2, and it looks like this deer is standing just a little bit behind the other one. And I set it so its head showed up behind it. And we'll stamp that on there. Then we'll pick up this, and there, look at that, how it looks like the one deer is standing behind the other. Now, I don't need that, so I'm just going to set that aside, stick it to something. And now, oh, yes, I do need it, because I'm going to put it over this deer again, because I want to put the trees in, and I want it to look like the deer is in front of the trees. So we'll bring that in, and I'll just touch up that ink a little bit so it's moist. Okay, and I'm going to put this over here so it goes over the top of the deer. Press nice and hard, but don't rock. And there we go. And we'll pick up that thing, and there it looks like the deer is in front of the trees. Isn't that cool? I love it. Okay, and then again, if you don't want your trees to be floating, you can come in and just add a little whoop, right there like that. And then it looks like they're sitting, if that's what you choose to do. Then I took the trees and I did another one over on the other side. You can see here. And I like the stamped image of the trees. I just didn't like it when it was cut out with the die. And I'm going to put these up a little higher because I want it to look like they're kind of behind the deer. So I'm going to put them up here like this. And then I'm going to bring in, and this is what I did. I took my Evening Evergreen marker. I used the narrow tip or the other end of the thing. And I just drew my own line. And I just kind of, and I didn't worry about staying straight. I actually wanted it to kind of look a little bit jagged. And I kind of just brought it down like this and missed the deer. And just brought it down like that into the grass. So it looks like a little mound up behind them because they're in front of it. And that is the front of my card. So now I will put my adhesive on there. Bring my cardstock in. Line up my 3 edges so it looks pretty good. And there we go. There's plenty of room for a sentiment on here. You can put it anywhere you'd like. Now you'll need a piece for the inside. So here's a piece of 4 1/4 by 4 by 5 1/4. Excuse me. And we'll just put this on the inside. Like that. And then did I do something? Oh yes, I did. I put some trees on the inside as well. So let's do that. I'm going to close this. I have a tendency to let things get into my ink. Okay, so let's put some trees on the inside just to carry that theme through to the inside of the card. Just like that. We'll get our marker and give those trees some feet. And there you go. There's today's card there that was stamped. Isn't that fun? I mean, just so many nice little looks. I did have one other one I did. This wasn't totally original to me, and I don't usually, I try not to steal other people's stuff and use it as my own. But there was a gal who did this. I'm sorry, I can't remember who, but she used the Beauty of the Earth paper, and she cut the design from that, and then she put it on here, and then she cut the deer from the back side of that same paper so that she could, and my phone's ringing. Hold on. I usually remember to turn that off. Excuse me for that. Okay, and so she did that because she liked this design that was on the back. So I did that with these deer as well, and just glue them on there. The only thing I did different than she did, she left her background white, and I used a blending brush and Balmy Blue and Highland Heather, and I just added some color behind before I built the card. And so that was my other card. I'm making that with a group of ladies tomorrow. So there you have it. You can add the deer however you'd like, and I've been really tickled with the designs. I hope you have too. I hope you're inspired. Maybe you're going to get this set now and give it a try. If you make something different, I'd love to see it. Send me a picture. Tell me about it. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I do have a blog at katespapercreations.org. I hope you'll check it out and possibly subscribe, because there is where you'll find out about current news, updates, specials, and all of that kind of stuff. Plus Paper Pumpkin information is there. And so there you go. Do that. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. My list is growing. I have over 400 subscribers now, and I'm so glad all of you have joined me. I hope you continue to be impressed and enjoy my creations that I make using Stampin' Up! Products. You have a great day.